Speculation is one step closer to reality as the UFL is now looking to expand officially. Plus, showcases in Switzerland and PFN's Best Of is coming up very soon. All this and much more in a long overdue UFL podcast, and it starts right now.
1, 2, 3.
Everybody to the UFL Podcast. I am Zach Heilman sitting in hosting duties double time this week. We were on ATU, both me and my co-host on the other side, the ref himself, sitting in. It has been a good minute. I double checked this the other day. It was late September. We haven't been on in a minute, but there's a lot to talk about. Mr. Raychuck that we have me on the docket. Yes. You know I am. I sway back and forth into reality and persona. You know how this is. But there's a lot to talk about that's kind of come up. Makes it a very busy week. Very busy Thanksgiving week, by the way, that the UFL said, you know what? Who cares about the games coming up at the end? Who cares about the turkey and the stuffing or the ham or whatever you have? Mm-hmm. We got future moves to discuss. We got things about what's ahead.
You know, I'll tell you, Zach, and we'll dive into this a little bit later. I love the fact that the UFL is kind of continuing a tradition of dropping spring football news on Thanksgiving week. I don't know, for the old heads out there, the spring football crazies, as our boy Seth Lessons would say, if you remember way back when the lead up to the XFL 2020, that's when we got the XFL footballs.
Yeah, the turkey ball.
And exactly, the packaging and the whole thing around it. So I'm glad to see that tradition continue, just like I'm not sad to see that. I'm happy to see that tradition continue, just like I'm very happy that it is Thanksgiving week. It is the day that this drops. It is Thanksgiving. I hope you're all ready to get your food on. I'm ready to get my food on. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. And I'm just happy to be back. Episode 92. And this one, I'm dedicating it to my boy Stevie T, because him and I'm telling you, we go way back. Some online, they think, oh my God, the Stevie T guy hates the ref. No. You got it all wrong. You got it all twisted. We're boys. And we're going to, one of these days, next time I'm in Birmingham. And I was actually, before we get into it, I was talking to my wife about doing a road trip to maybe DC if the championship's there. And if we go to DC, maybe stop through Birmingham, because there's so many things I want to show her. I don't know where. Can you point me to the Birmingham hate? That's the one part of the Stevie T thing that this is why I'm like, no. He's just throwing bants online. Otherwise, and maybe I'm wrong, otherwise he would clip me. There would be a clip out there of me saying something. And I'm not going to speculate on what it would be, because I don't want that to be clipped and used as the evidence. Anyway, I want to take her through Birmingham. I want to probably stay there the night. I love Birmingham. I would actually move to Birmingham. No joke. I actually do enjoy it there. Anyway, dedicated to Stevie T, episode 92. Get live, signed up. Thanksgiving week. I'm thankful for a lot of things, but one of them is Stevie T in Birmingham.
I'm very thankful for both those items. I'm also very thankful that we have a lot more commitment, it sounds like, at the league level. That, you know, it's funny. There are rumblings from various other sites. Mike Mitchell over at SI was talking about how, you know, UFL is like a do or die year. And I don't know about you. We discussed this on ATU, by the way, which, by the way, if you haven't checked that out, recommend you do before this show, just because we're going to do basically some callback, but we're going to have extra context to this as well. You know, that, you know, kind of felt like they were saying do or die, prove it year. Now you're hearing all of a sudden expansion, 2027 even being like something that people were talking about. You know, the league was talking more 2026 in their PR, but sorry, people talking about 2027 that supposedly have inside track knowledge or rumors being fed their way. Whoa, okay. Amazing what 3 months does for you.
I know.
You know, we don't get all the details, but clearly stuff is going on. It feels like behind the scenes that maybe things have changed that narrative very quickly, as our Nick Thorne brought up just earlier this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that I get out of it, and I talked about this a little bit on ATU, but what I like and what I think is going to benefit the league probably the most is it gives a little bit of legitimacy to the league, right? And for the people that are worried that this is going to be, a couple and done, right? Or worried that, like the USFL and the XFL, they had a couple seasons, but people could argue that they were forced to merge, but what if there was no one else to merge with, right?
Right.
This to me shows that they're at least exploring and looking past just the season that's in front of them. I mean, that's the nature of the game when it comes to the internet is to think about the worst, right? That's what's always going to get you the clicks. I'm not going to speculate on if that's the reason anybody does what they do. I don't think it's what we do. I'm pretty positive about things, and maybe that's why people don't like me on the internet is I don't give them the mean things that they want. As much as I would love to, you don't get it wrong. I would love to be that guy. I just I don't know. This isn't the place for it. Maybe one day. I've talked about it, Zach. The Boys Club. One of these days we're gonna have that podcast. And anyway, we're getting off track. To me, this gives the legitimacy factor. It does stray away from is this a make or break? Whether it is a make or break or not. I mean, I'm not gonna shy away from the fact that this could be a make or break season. Things don't go the way they need to, and these plans never come to fruition. But if you're playing the long game, you do need to have these plans. I will point back to with the USFL, when we were doing even Spring Stock 1, Spring Stock 2, getting to know some of the people within the league at Fox, I remember plans for season 3, season 5, season 10 of the USFL. Mm-hmm. You could argue that last year was season 3 of the USFL, but was it really? Or was it season 1 of the UFL? And so, yeah, they're talking about season 3, season 5, season 10 of the UFL. Doesn't necessarily mean that we'll see it. But here I go. I play both sides of the fence, Zach. I don't know what to tell you. To me, I do see this as a positive thing. I think that realistically,
Likewise.
when you're going from 16 to 8 teams, if you're not talking about expansion, then I don't know. That probably leaves a bad taste in some of the fans' mouths. Now, I'm curious, Zach, of the mix, if they expand, we talked about this a little bit. We didn't really go into depth. Do you think we will see return of teams in their locations? We might see the team names. Like if we saw the Maulers, do you think they'll be in Pittsburgh? Or do you think they'll be in Ohio or a completely different team?
Well, tough to say. I will tell you, I think if you're going to look at both the former structures of the two leagues, and we did talk a little bit about certain contracts and whatnot that both of them had, XFL did supposedly put in some extra money in for future years at certain stadiums, and some they had to walk away from or put on pause potentially when they did a merger, which is why you're seeing, and I'm just going to dive right in this, Seattle's arguably one of, if not the most talked right now market that people are saying, you got to go back. You got to go back. You got to go back. And I'm like, yeah, I think personally, just if I'm basing it on what data do I have? And I think this is going to be the first thing I'm going. If I'm starting this process now, let's go back to the data we have on markets we have currently done post-pandemic or disease not be named, whatever you want to call it, because it's hard. You can't really, I feel like, use the same data. This is near 5 years old now. Sports markets have changed in certain venues. Again, and talk about Seattle, they have a hockey team now that didn't exist prior, and within the next several years, they're going to have. It sounds like the Supersonics back. It's more of a when, not if. So, that's just an example though. But Seattle, one thing that was brought in, you got ticket sales, you had better crowds. You can have that argument that people have talked to us in the past where, in 2023, they got scheduled for a crazy ton of late night games on the East Coast, and that hurts the viewership and some of the people coming out there. So, it's had a history. I think history is going to be big. History, the relationships you currently have, and where you feel like you are selling and spending your best dollar to begin this outright. And Seattle seems like that's the case. I still put in a bit of a warning that, if you're going to do expansion, you're going to do 2 teams. You're going to do an even amount of number. And I said 2 because I feel like 4 is a stretch for 1 year. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something else in the pipeline that allows for 4 in a season. But the realistic one would be 2 more to make it to 10 and double digits, because you want to expand evenly. Odd numbers, it's weird scheduling. You see it in the CFL. They got to do weird bye weeks every year. I've seen it in indoor and arena leagues when teams go out, or they have to start with odd number. Mm-hmm. It's weird. You have to really kind of mess with the schedule a lot and make it just fit, but it's an ugly fit. So it's not easy to kind of put things together. You want even stuff, and better for divisions too. You want even divisions, even everything. It's going to be 2. I really want them, if they do West Coast, if they go to Seattle, and we said this in the show, I'm going to say it again. For the fact that logistics do matter, and this isn't just me spouting, this is also people in the industry that have said on other shows and other various platforms now in the last few years that logistics and travel costs are a bane to teams' existence in any level that's not the NFL or even the CFL. You can argue with some of that, a little bit more stability. You got to consider it. I really think that if you go one West Coast, you do 2 of them. Mm-hmm. I really do. Or if you can't get both, you lean and you look at what you got east of the Mississippi, or what I think is a better thing, compromise. I've heard tons of people talk about, and I know I'm saying a long-winded answer, and I'll give you some time to talk. Here's a lot to chew on, but I've seen a lot of people I agree with. What about Oklahoma City? Denver, I've heard a lot of people say maybe is a chance. These are markets that move the needle westward. There's somewhat bigger television markets to be in. Denver especially, it's the top 15 media market, and in the past has shown it has extra interest in that spring scene. Maybe that's where it's at, It doesn't hurt maybe not say full commit to a whole coastal side of the U.S. Maybe just add a little bit of an incremental, make it where you can kind of balance that. Denver's also like an airport hub. That helps a ton if you're going to do that, where you can start kind of finding places to kind of drop ship and then move forward in the year's future. That's what I'm more for. The more I've heard that in the last day or so, since we're recording this show, the more I'm kind of like, yeah, maybe these are options. OKC has been sitting there and it has a history. It just kind of comes down to finding, again, those relationships is the big.
Well, the relationships is the big one. And that's what, I'm hoping to see out of this is, as new markets are chosen, we see key figures arise out of those markets that, whether they're interested in ownership or not, have some key factor in wanting that team to be successful, whether it's a sponsorship, whether it's they own the arena, whether it, there's a lot of different reasons that somebody might want that team to survive other than having a stake in ownership. And, when we talk about like Denver versus Oklahoma City, it will be interesting to see what teams come out of this, because I think it'll be telling on what the direction of the league is going to look like going forward. Are we going to see a continued push into NFL markets? Are we going to see maybe expand outside of? Are we going to see a mix? And so maybe we do see a mix. So I could see maybe something like a Seattle and an Oklahoma City. Now, one of the things that we talked about prior to the show, I meant to talk about it on Monday's show, was, and people are going to hate this, Zach.
Oh boy, here we go. Let's hear it.
What if, do you think that the UFL might explore expanding via a hub scenario? So maybe it's an expanded city. So we see like a Seattle come into play. You had mentioned there's potentially an open contract where, they're owed a season anyway. Maybe with some slight adjustment, you could add a couple games, and now you have a Seattle and an LA team, which I don't know how well that would play out there. But either way, you could have potentially 2 teams or a few, and maybe even use it as a West Coast hub. I don't know. That might get a little sticky. It feels like Arlington's probably better suited for that.
Well,
but
no,
anyway,
I think you're leading into, look, we talked a little bit off air before we jumped on. Like, okay, we're processing, like, look, we talked a lot all around the UFL. what is something we missed that maybe we didn't talk as much? And that's kind of leading into what I think is a bigger conversation moving into expansion is, can you really house 12 full 53-man rosters in one city? Like,
Right.
I just feel like that's a very challenging logistical nightmare to where I think if you're not going to be able to, like, say an investor is not the one that's coming for expansion, or like it's more cities coming and going, hey, we'll give you all these venues and make it really easy on cost. You can move here, keep talking to partners and all that. I don't know if that's really what is all being implied, but it was very leaning on communities and the PR. So I'm going with that as the language. If I'm reading what a public relations officer is trying to put on paper, that's what I'm trying to read between the lines here. So if it's not getting that instant funding from someone outside of your league office, aren't you going to have to find a second hub? Like, unless you find just tons more I mean, the Dallas Metro in Arlington is huge. You and I know this from going out to the opener.
Yeah.
I learned that last year, like going, oh my goodness, like just eye-poppingly big Metro. But I mean, that just feels like a lot. Like you are trying to lean on a lot of resources at that point for one city.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to see it in the next 2 years. If they get to 12, I think they split 6-6 and they move one to a hub that gives them a favorable deal, like Arlington, Texas did with Choctaw. Mm-hmm. It's going to come down to a deal, though. It's always been a deal.
You would almost hope to, especially it might mitigate some of what we even heard. AJ McCarron, he had made the rounds doing some podcasts
he's had
after
a field day with this,
and he had talked about the plane rides, which we had all heard about a little bit and speculated about. But yeah, the banter is there. The banter is real. With the second hub, you might cut some of that out, depending on which you at least might get paired with a different team that you didn't play. But I don't know. I agree. I feel like it's going to get tougher and tougher to house all of these teams in one location, or it's going to be tougher to make your commitments to the community when they're all living out of Arlington, right? Like, are they only there for the community when they need to do a fan engagement event? And by the way, we're going to stop at the Boys and Girls Club on the way there, and then we're going to head back to the Arlington, Texas. That's not. There's nothing bad with that either. I want to point. I'm not poo-pooing on that.
I think to add credence to this point, I am going to go out on a limb, and I will say I believe the league learned its lesson about community engagement last year. A few of us, and credit, the merger pushed this. A few of us, myself included, were worried when you went with the merger and the setup they had, you're removing that, face-to-face, fan-to-team kind of connection, unless it's bigger markets, and a lot of fans said that same thing throughout the last season, especially USFL fans that were used to seeing their guys there. Birmingham fans in particular, credit, they had a hub there, so I get it. Mm-hmm. But, they really miss seeing those guys on a regular basis. The team thought the same thing, and these are other teams too. But one thing I think they did well to do, and this is someone that coming from the Michigan fandom myself, and me and Jake here talking about how it felt like there was nothing going on. They've been getting a lot of in-market personnel now, at least executives that are in market, to where I think that's how you bridge the gap is, okay, you have this on-the-ground team. It's big enough to be a promo team that focuses on the ticket sales and kind of the needs of partners in ground. However, we still keep the benefits for the hub at the time being, some of the we talk insurance costs or housing costs and whatever makes it easier for the league to give players the best place to stay while also flying them out and doing this whole XFL airplane, what a baloo. So that's the happy medium, but I think that's the next step in the evolution. They learned their lesson last year. I think now they know they have to have every new market. They have to have some sort of team from the league office that is a satellite location somewhere in the market they're in. It has to happen. They learned their lesson hard last year. I think they finally crossed that plane. Next step we'll see besides expansion, as we've talked, is when do you start seeing future build, teams actually live in these markets? And I feel like that's still far off, to be honest with you. I'm getting that vibe. Second hub, sooner than you think, I believe, but I think it's still a little far off to talk, the way they're doing the cost structure right now.
I agree. Unless it got to the point where one of the teams had a ultra wealthy owner and saw, because I could see if somebody was let's say the Memphis Showboats get an owner, I could see them at minimum making the argument of, no, we want the hub here. We want our players rested. We don't want them flying around for every game. What do you mean? No. We want them.
To be frank, as long as that standard was met and the commitments are outlined very clearly, which, keep in mind, with a league office, with how them having all the control, you have to make guidelines and basically franchise like structured type of like qualities that have to be met, or at least some sort of agreement has to be created. And
you could end up with a hodgepodge of like,
right. Like,
Houston, Texas naturally would have the best facilities, but maybe something like, I'm not going to say a team. I'm not going to insult a fan group.
Look, I could easily dunk you on you doing your usual stuff, but Houston ain't too bad. Not gonna lie.
Best.
You got TDCU, and also again, it's a big, vibrant community as well. So I get that, but that, look, I think anything that would take some cost off the plate of the league that they could trust and also would know could be managed in the same quality that they're doing right now, or at least the standard they're trying to meet, then I think they'd take that right away. Be like, you want to keep them in market and fund it? Okay. If you got the money, we're going to like basically keep a close eye on them, since it'd be like outliers, but you can't say they wouldn't take that deal if they had that deal lined up for them right away. No, I think it'd be crazy if you didn't, knowing they're trying to do that already.
Think of the behind the scenes storylines on that one, though. 7 teams sharing a hub, and one team's got like their own cozy pad because they got an owner.
It's like it'd be like modern NCAA, all the like NIL. It's like, take me with you.
Yeah.
Please. I want to live in, be like, I want to live in Memphis. Wait a minute. Well, where are we living in Memphis? So pause.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm kidding.
They're going to house them at the top of the pyramid, which I think it's literally like the second or the third largest pyramid in the world, which is amazing. I love it. That's amazing.
Bass Pro Shop, man. Still got to visit next time we're out there.
It was cool. It was cool.
Not bad.
Yeah. So what else we got in the world of football? I know we got Thanksgiving, but is there any? We talked about expansion. Oh well, we have the showcase thing.
Yes, we do, and this one kind of went under the radar a little bit, mainly because there aren't too many specifics. They are doing it in September of next year, and I think that was more besides like you're raising your eyebrow and going international. Wait a minute, we're going to Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking for recruits. The other part was like the first nugget going. Next year's thinking already.
Right.
That was actually the first tell for a few of us in the PFN Discord. Was interesting. They're already talking about next season. And, again, rumors were saying otherwise. So it's kind of like the first precursor to what we got this week, just much more tame scale. Though, and Stefan, I'll say, fascinating because, there have been attempts other leagues to get international exposure, the NFL, of course, but like, CFL 2.0 gets thrown around a lot, and I know a lot of CFL fans have very mixed emotions to negative emotions on CFL 2.0. And, the UFL, maybe not to the same extent or grandeur of doing this, is at least dipping its toes into it.
It'll be interesting. So I know we talked a little bit before the show of, are they going to expand into Europe? Which I don't think they are. I don't think that's the plan. I don't think that, and that wasn't Zach's idea either. But we were, joking about.
No,
it.
I'm just laughing because we did talk this, but I'm going to definitely be like, yeah, no, speculation, send to the moon or something like that.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's probably people out there that are like, oh well, maybe I mean, if we're talking about Zach, think about this. We're talking about the difficulty of a hub. In like, a second hub. And there's no way we're going to see them move to like a Switzerland or something like that.
That would be weird. There is a universe somewhere where they're like, hub?
Right.
Europe. But that's not this world.
No way.
No.
I see this, though.
Player pool, though. Yeah.
The player pool. And because I look at the ELF, who is a couple years in. Every year, they had a couple growing pains, but they're still adding teams.
Moving and shaking.
They had I think over 30,000 people at the championship game. The teams are solid. The names are solid. The logos are solid. They're pretty good. And the quality of play is solid. And then we've even seen some overlap. Cavante Turpin and some of these other guys have crossed over and played. We've seen coaching, all these things.
Madre London was over there as our kind of claim over there with the USFL. Ran for 2,000 yards with the Centurions a few years ago.
Right.
So,
and so I look at it as the UFL, Fox, whoever, Redbird, whoever behind the scenes is looking at that and saying, why are we leaving that free money on the table? And free money, I'm meaning that talent pool, right? And so especially, Zach, as you look at expanding, we've talked about, there is a lot of players out there, but, in some of these specialty QBs, right? You may want to expand a bit beyond where you're looking at to maybe get the best of the best, see what's available, find the diamond in the rough, because that's really what I feel like this is all about.
Sure.
So, I mean, if I was the ELF, would I be worried? Maybe not. I mean, they're not going to steal every player, but it's definitely not great for them because I think given the opportunity, if you're a player, where do you want to play, Zach?
Well, I mean, hey, if you have a chance to go overseas, then by all means, I don't think that is any question, and to be frank, if we're talking the ELF system, these teams do pay out money for the American players first, by the way. Local talent is not as much getting a paycheck as in the dollar amounts as the U.S. or international imports are, because that's the focus. They know that's where the big guys are. Reed Sinnett is going over there. He's getting a legitimate opportunity and is going to get to be able to do international scene with the Madrid Bravos and make at least somewhat decent change. Maybe not UFL level change, but at least good enough to where you can have a whole year pay and go play football and live in Madrid. That sounds like a pretty damn good deal, if I'm being honest, for a team that wasn't too bad last year. But that's an example. I think as well, this is just, if I'm looking at this, as long as it's one showcase, it's at least dipping your toe. I don't think that you should be seeing, if the UFL starts doing like CFL 2.0, where it's like, we're doing showcases in like 5 countries in a year, and we're trying to claim that it's to make money. This is not to make money. I think I've read plenty on CFL 2.0. I agree with some folks. It was kind of silly to believe you were going to make money off these things and do it that way. This is not for that. This is definitely to try and see who you can get from a region. And keep in mind, with the way Europe is structured, the free flow and movement with the European Union, like basing it in Switzerland, that's a central point. You're basically saying, hey, come one, come all, Europe's best. Meet us here. If you want to seriously be considered and are considering your talents to go to the UFL and have scouts, that's what they're doing. But it has to, but I'm cool with them just taking one. That's it. Don't go overboard. You can, if they're that committed, you're going to get plenty of recruits from the European scene in one go. So that was the mistake with CFL 2.0, is that looking for profitability out of tryouts, to start things up. And I'm just like, that's just not how you do it. You got to start playing games. They never got across that board. That's the only thing. Never got to that finish line. Right.
Yeah. But it is nice to see the UFL talking beyond this year in a couple different instances.
That's great.
In what I would say is big ways, which kind of leads me to what I was saying at the beginning of the show, and even what I brought up on Monday. This gives that legitimacy factor. And again, not necessarily, but also for the crazies like you and me and the people listening to this show, but really for the people that maybe don't tune into the UFL or don't tune into the UFL on a regular basis. The guy that's sitting around Thursday during Thanksgiving watching this game, hopefully watching the Lions get another win. Or, maybe, sign you up. Zach, who do we play the Bears this week? I don't even know.
Yes.
Oh, well, then we both can't be winners then. Oh,
no,
I'm sorry.
One of
Zach.
us is going to take a very, very
I'll
fat
tell you,
L.
I think this is our trap game, if that makes you feel better.
I mean, that's fair. Caleb just threw for 340, and I know you guys are a little banged up. I know Anzalani just went out for, I believe, on IR for the year, right?
Well, we're a little, yeah. And honestly, I'm a crazy guy, Zach. I was trying to explain this to a friend of mine the other day. He doesn't understand sports in the way that I talk about sports. I won't say that I understand, but the way I talk about it. And I was telling him, the Lions need to take a loss. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, don't they want to win all the games? I said, no. Why the hell would you want to win all the games? And he looked at me with this crazy stare, but I look at it like this. Look at the Patriots. Undefeated. Did they win the Super Bowl that year? Hell no, they didn't.
No.
It is rare that these teams go in with like one loss and go and win the Super Bowl. It's rare. I don't care what you say. It's the 2-3 seed. To me, I feel like that's your like golden spot. 2-3 losses on a season. That's your 4. If you have 4 losses on a season, I'm feeling Super Bowl ready.
Great.
Now,
yeah.
The thing I'm worried about with the Lions, my personal attachment here, they peaked. You want this 9-win stretch happen at the end of the season. Actually, I would say you want to lose like the second or third to last game of the season to have a loss readily on your mind too, to just remind you that you can lose. Again, so I feel like a 3-4 loss season is the best. Lose right at the beginning. Oh, God dang it. That's going to hit us. You lose in the middle. You lose at the end. And then you go in the playoffs with the understanding of why you lost all those games. You win all the games.
Yeah.
Or you're just really good, which I'm fine with that too. I just don't trust it.
You and I are on different ends of the stick. Like somehow we're still.
You just want to win.
Well, I don't. I could go a whole episode on my thought process right now, and it would sound dumb, but also I would give you the best possible argument on why a disaster season is the best case scenario. A disaster with good offensive production. That's ideal. If I had to go an entire whole episode about it, which I do, by the way, you maybe have met him, Coach Steve. He's a good pal. We do Bears talk every week. So I get to ramble and yell about my Bears so much. You people are spoiled. You do not get an angry Zach. You get the optimistic and very happy about spring football Zach on near every show that comes on. Unless it's a Panthers issue, then fine, whatever. Because I do treat the Panthers like the Bears. They are an equal in my fandom anymore. I am happy. They're a better team to root for right now. I'm freaking stoked, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. Is what I got. And I'm hoping to bring you talk Thanksgiving. I'm hoping to bring some of that reminder cheer with my aunt and uncle and their cousins. Hey, new season's kicking off. Back at the Ford Field. Just keep an eye on those tickets. Yeah. The schedule should come out soon. Got to get that out soon, by the way, League. It's been a little bit. And that's got to come out so quickly after the holiday now. Mm-hmm.
I think so. I think we'll see it soon. But yeah, you bring up a good point. This is a good opportunity for everybody that's listening to this on Thanksgiving. If you're listening to it after, do this anyway. Christmas is coming up. Mm-hmm. Remind everybody, nobody wants to hear about the politics at the dinner table. Let's be honest with you.
Do you nobody wants after the election now?
Nobody wants it. You know what you could talk about? Spring football. Now that's going to be they're going to be expecting politics. So when you bring up anything, they're going to be engaged in it. So bring up spring football. They're going to instantly say, whoa, that's not what I expected. Let me look into this thing. What do you mean the Houston Roughnecks are going to go 12-0 in 2025? Undefeated? Is that possible? I thought you said you need to lose at least a game in the season, maybe 3-4. Not this year. We're so good.
Proceeds to submit
they'd rather hear
that to the family.
Dude, they're going to think of the championship parade for the Houston Gamblers. Every float with swangers. Sign me up, dude.
You have not lived until you've seen swangers in downtown Houston.
Somebody asked me at work, Zach.
Sometimes I forget. Understand.
Sometimes I forget, like I'm a real person. Sometimes so they're doing a
fantasy world 24/7.
They're doing a thing near Houston, where I work, and they were trying to get like the decor right, and they're like, so Texas, is that like, do you guys do cactuses, or is that more of a West Coast thing? I was like, I said, oh, Houston, we're known for 2 things, and I just sent him a picture of an oil derrick and swangers. And he's like, I get the oil, but custom cars? What do you show me here? I was like, no, dude, swangers.
Swangers.
And again, in text. So this guy, I could just imagine on the other end, it's like, what is he sending me? What is a swang on? And Googling it. And so I'm doing my best to explain it. And then it's like, oh yeah, I'm a real person at a real job. Why am I sending anybody swangers? They don't get that I'm joking. They don't get that I'm like, swangers.
In this
like
moment, in this moment, you pause and think, this is my life.
Yep. I think they're just used to it by now. I'm just a wacky, goofy kind of guy. I do this thing at work, Zach. So I don't, I think actually other people have done it better than me, but I tried to become a cartoon character in the way that I have only a select few outfits that I wear for work. And I have a Monday shirt, a Wednesday shirt, and a Friday shirt. And Tuesday and Thursday, it's a variation of maybe like 3 or 4 different shirts. I thought I had it going. I thought I had something good going on because I was like, this is great. I don't need to shop. I just have like a select few shirts and people know what to expect. And then now there's like this new thing. It probably happens where you work, Zach. Plain black t-shirts.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be part of the group. I don't want to do that.
That's the new trend is like just get plain tees, which I'm like, I can't fully commit. That's why I got this like one that says the built different. It's minimalist. Mm-hmm. That's the one example where I'll say I'm okay with the minimalist design. Not a Jaguar fan right now. I can tell you that.
No.
I ain't no Jaguar logo fan. It took away.
Why do they got to do that? Don't they know that every company that has changed their logo to be like the modern TM, like everybody hates it. There's like memes about modernizing your logo.
It's pain.
One thing I'm not thankful for, but I'm curious, Zach, what are you thankful for this year?
I am thankful for, honestly, let's just say opportunity, is what I've got. I'm able to do this show and talk about football in all sorts of different places. Thankful for the opportunities I'm getting in a more professional life outside this show right now is what's good. And thankful for what lies ahead and, my own football path, so to speak, I think. And just because of the folks I've worked with, like yourself, getting kind of that experience and chances to do things like this. Like I get to work with an arena football team. Mm-hmm. Like I'm doing that right now. It is surreal. I would have not thought about that 5 years ago when I started like trying to do stuff like this. Mm-hmm. And now I'm technically employed
full circle. Yeah.
By that. Like that's crazy to me. Still not like it's still wild. It's only been 5 years.
So
for myself,
it is so you could talk about that now. I know on the last episode I danced around that a little bit. Okay,
no, I can. And I'm not going to, by the way, if any of you are tuning in like, oh, well, I know he talks AF1 once in a while or arena football. I'm not going to spoil anything on here. I'd probably instantly lose anything. So
no, I won't.
I know the director of comms for the league would be on my, and I'm going to say it, on my ass if he watched this show and went, why did you say that, pal?
Yeah,
it'd be over.
We're not going to have any situations like that.
I have been PR trained for years. You and I know this. We are very in the know on stuff like that.
Here's the thing, Zach. If you can work with me, you can work with anyone because I'm crazy. And I know like, in the early days of the podcast, when I'd say things were, they're not different, but I think I'm not going to get into it. There were certain things that I would try to do or try to avoid and this and that. And I think all of that is going to be helpful in your ventures, kind of where you're going now, which to me, it's like, that's what this has all been about. I've always said like, spring football is all about creating opportunities. To me, Newsroom was almost an extension of that where, we're not like $1 million corporation or anything, but we can help you get college credits. We can help you get in touch with the people. We can help you make a name for yourself. And quite honestly, you could do it on your own too, but we could also help you. That's the way I've always looked at it. I'm not
community effort. Look, you a lot more so than even I. Tide rising all ships. There's been a lot of stuff that people have been able to do, that's been special. And I guess for my sake to kind of go and finally say it, I'm working as essentially the media director for what is a new AF1 team. They're titled the Arizona Bandits. We're going to have Tempe, Arizona. Still some details to come out, but I'm basically been running and helping get the social media train moving on that. And it's been about 2 weeks now as of this recording. It's been crazy. I'll be honest with you. I would say a lot of like making sure and double checking and getting things out when I need to, when I got spare time. But like, man, it feels so rewarding. Like even when you're doing something busy and you like feel good about it while being busy. Like that is the best feeling in the world. Is like, yeah, I might be like going and running my head a million miles in different directions. And you probably know this well from just talking to you over the last several years I've known you. And it's like, it just feels good. It's like you feel like you're doing something meaningful, even though the time is like hectic, you know? Yeah. Feels great.
Here's the thing. You only have limited time in your life. I always talk about this. My greatest enemy in life is time. And so you might as well use it on something, because sooner or later you're not gonna, or you're going to get tired, or you're going to get old. I'll say like me, I feel so old sometimes, but I push through. Real quick, so you can follow. So it's AZ Bandits AF1.
Yes.
Right?
So if you're interested at all following along, or if you need to pick a team, which some of our PFN Discord guys have done that. There's no team
to pick but the Bandits, you fools.
Hey, I'm just saying. You got a pretty good option with if you want to follow along, because I'm gonna do the memes. I'm gonna do the cool stuff. I'm working on better graphics. I'm learning as I go, but I'm trying. That's the thing.
Let me ask you this, Zach. Though, how do you guys plan to compete when isn't there like 4 or 5 teams in Texas? And how are you going to have like 4 or 5 champions? I just don't know how that's going to work.
You mean Arizona? I know absolutely. But anyway, to speak on that, I know we can work. It comes down to the marketing, and it comes down to why certain teams are in certain places.
Well, dude, the Tempe thing I think is killer, because you want, and again, I've lived out there, but the light rail to me is like, that is so works in your benefit. I don't know if there's a light rail exit in front of that stadium, but if there isn't, it's probably within like a quarter-mile walk.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna slip up and tell you the venue. So
never mind.
I was like, great test. If there's any clip I can send to people that are in the know, be like, you want to see my loyalty? It's that clip right there. I could have just dropped it.
All right.
But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna hint. I don't know.
Neither do I.
So, look, all I can tell you is it'll be a good venue, and we're gonna get the place rocking. Matt Mason, who's the team president and the co-owner of this thing, I gotta give him props for even letting me do this stuff. And his vision that he's shown me for what he wants to do with this team it's bold. I'll admit. You know, when you go on a press release and saying you want to do a Wild West show on every home game, it's kind of a big deal. No one else does that type of stuff in this sport anywhere in the country. So yeah, a lot of stuff he wants to do, and a lot of stuff I'm hoping to help guide that vision towards too. That's my whole goal, is to show it off the best way possible. So
right on.
But I got to thank spring football for that. You know, I guess that's how I end my thankful. I'm thankful for that. Like, I don't get this without being involved in this scene, meeting people like yourself, by the way, to even get me going and continue to be interested. So I got more work ahead. This isn't the end. This is still a new beginning, but like massive stuff to be thankful for this year. And I hope I didn't skip you with your own thankfulness, by the way. So
no, I'll go into my thing in a minute. I am definitely coming out to a game. I'm looking at your schedule now because it dropped.
You let me know.
Tuesday.
You let me know, and we'll talk. I can definitely maybe see if I could squeeze some things over my direction.
Well, I mean, we'll figure it out. But yeah, I'll probably come to that your opening week. It looks like week 2. I'll try to make that happen. March is such a good time in Arizona because it's before the torture of summer, and it's actually really great weather in March.
Right now, it's so good right now.
Yeah. That's the reason you live in Arizona right now. This time right now, holidays, Christmas is like t-shirt, maybe hoodie weather, you know. As for what I'm thankful for, honestly, I'm just thankful to be doing this another year.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is when I started this, did I expect that I would be doing it in 3 years, 5 years, going on? I think it's year 7 coming up.
Yes.
I think
6 years
that's
was
crazy.
last year. You had
That's crazy.
7
Like,
years of PFN coming up next
that's
year.
insane. Over 2 decades. It's not 2 decades long, but it's spanned over 2 decades. Into the 2010s, into the 2020s. Never would have. I guess I would have expected that with the launch date of 2020. Mm-hmm. Doing this show, we have even more shows. To me, I think the whole fun of doing stuff like this is kind of the ups and downs. You look at ATU. We started off with like too many hosts. And then now we've kind of boiled it down to the regulars, and probably when the season gets closer, maybe some more panelists. Well, there's always this increased engagement, even from content creators as the seasons get near. So I'm sure we'll meet new people as we go out to these different games. We'll meet new people. I'm super thankful on a personal scale of like football, of TDECU, bringing it back to some comfy seats, bringing it back to where we get some shade, bringing it back where we have a short bathroom line and a club area with Zach. I can't wait till you see, but they have like their own food selection. Like they have like buffet style food that they bring out. That's not like stadium food. So they'll have like legit barbecue.
Don't dare to tempt me, my friend.
Oh my God. It's so amazing. So I'm so excited to see that. I'm thankful for the fact that our team is going to be undefeated next year. Nothing can stop us. It doesn't matter who's on the field, how many players are on the field. If the chance that there's only a set of shoes on the field, those shoes will somehow get the ball in its control and go over and score. I don't care, by hell or high water, 12-0, we're going to rough up at TDECU. Again, this explains why we didn't go 12-0 last year. I was confused for about a day or so, and then TDECU came into frame. I said, that's why they were saving it until this year.
The key is right there.
Although I haven't had a chance to go to any of the Roughnecks meet and greets this year, I'm thankful that they're holding them, because to me, that is the key to having a good crowd at these games. I mean, that was one of the things that they did great in the lead up to 2020. And I'd say by the end of the shortened season in 2020, it was over 20,000 a game.
Yeah.
And that, you know what?
Yeah.
That's what you want. And it looks great on TV for TDECU. So I'm also thankful for, because I know a lot of people like Christmas, and Christmas is fine, but when you get old, unless you have kids, it's Christmas.
No,
I do like gifts.
Thanksgiving is heavily underrated, man. It keeps getting pushed down, and it's part of it we combine Christmas and Thanksgiving to get together honestly anymore, but no, it's my favorite holiday. Like I get the most amount of family when I go and visit family in Detroit or in Indianapolis anymore. Like where I'm at now, easily, no doubt about it.
Oh, I'm excited because I'm doing a couple Thanksgivings this year. I'm actually not seeing my family. They're coming out for Christmas, New Year, somewhere in there. I don't even know the exact dates. So that'll be good.
Yeah.
But I'm going over to my friend's house, his mom lives out here. He's got kids. So we're doing that on Thanksgiving. And then my wife and I, because we like our Thanksgiving our way, we're making our own Thanksgiving separately that I think we'll start on Wednesday, because we have the Ray Chuck family recipe stuffing. It goes way back. I don't know how old it is, but I'm going to say it goes back hundreds of years. It's delicious. It takes hours and hours and hours to cook, and then you got to let it gel, but there's apples and onions and celery, the whole shebang, sausage. It's amazing stuffing.
Yeah, hardcore. You gotta do the family proud.
Oh yeah. So we're doing that
family proud
Wednesday, and we're doing it. So we're doing a couple versions. So we're doing one version to bring to the outing. We're doing a vegetarian version for somebody that's going to be at that outing. And then we're doing a separate version that's only for us, that in the off chance everybody eats all of the stuffing at this thing, that we still have our own. And Zach, I love Thanksgiving football. I love Thanksgiving food. I love Thanksgiving leftovers. And actually, I don't mind a good Black Friday deal. In fact, and I'm actually sad, Zach. Can I be the sad guy
what
that
sad
Black
about,
Friday isn't as insane as it used to be. The deals are fine. That's fine.
Oh, you were the guy that had to sit outside at like 3 a.m. waiting to go into the store.
I just wanted to experience it. I didn't want, I don't even like to, I like to go, call me crazy. I like to go at a midnight and just go into the store and window shop people and window shop goods, because there's something about like a Best Buy at 12:20 in the morning on Thanksgiving night going into Black Friday, where everybody's aisle to aisle. There's craps lying in the aisleway. You can't get anywhere. It's an experience. Like, you know, the meme, the European mind could never comprehend this.
Yes.
You know, it's that meme, like boiled up. There's 4th of July and there's like 12:20 a.m. on Thanksgiving going into Black Friday at Best Buy. And dude, I will go in there. My wife thinks I'm insane. I will literally not buy anything, or I'll be like, oh, I don't know. I bought a PS4 game one year. It was like not even a great deal. I don't know. But there's something to it. I just like to, and I don't even know if the Best Buy opens at midnight by us. Do people even do Black Friday anymore? You know, so, but I will enjoy a good online ad. I'm looking for a cheap TV, and I saw like Best Buy's got a 40 I don't need a huge TV for my office. Mm-hmm. So before anybody's like 40-inch, whatever, it's for my office. They have a 40-inch TCL.
Oh, what do they need to know? What do they need to know?
I don't know why. I explain it because I'm going to have like, not Stevie T, but like Stevie Q in my comments. Be like, 40-inch TV, what are you, poor? Like, I don't know. You've been on the internet long enough, Zach.
You're looking for the tech bro guy to
TCL. What, don't you know I mean, it's just, I want to watch, like.
You didn't buy the QLED. What the hell, man?
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's not even, well, we were talking about it, Zach. I want the TV. I want 2 TVs. I want just an HD, not just whatever, and a CRT, because I just want to hook up all my game systems in here and just have like my chill zone. It's like my oh, Zach, you wouldn't believe it. I know we're still recording. If people don't care about this, another thing I'm thankful for, I'm going to end it up with this. You saw my garage.
Yes.
I'm
very aware of the garage.
You wouldn't believe it now. It is. I'm proud of myself, Zach.
That's bait right there to get me to come to Houston as soon as possible.
It is. It's almost like a real garage. And I'm not done. I'm going to actually finish it this weekend, but I'm going to hang up all because I had like signs and all this stuff. I might even put a TV out there.
Oh, okay.
Try and stop me. Hey, now if I do that, then we might get like the 90-inch or the 100-inch.
Say between that and visiting the monster over there, hoping that she's okay with me anymore.
Oh, the dog? Oh,
yes.
For
clarity, I am talking about his dog. Because
sometimes I call my wife a monster, so I'm like, oh, you know that nickname?
Lisa, I'm sorry. It's not about you. It's not about you, Lisa.
Oh, man. Well, I think that's about time.
Yeah, that seems good. Seems like a good way to get out of this. It's time to bail.
Oh man, I'm thankful for this show though, and just having you around to do this show
dude,
with, because
same deal. I mean, this I still think is crazy. This was just off a whim, doing like kicking things off, trying to do like an anniversary or like an end of year special. Was how this thing was birthed. That's still it's nuts. You go back to the origins of this show.
It's crazy because we'll be going into our 4th year doing this show.
That's right. That's 2 crazy. USFL seasons. Last year was the UFL one. It kicks off year 4, baby. Man. 4 years.
Time flies, dude. I talked about 7 years of the website, 4 years of this podcast. Man, it's a gauntlet. You know, people give me a hard time. Oh, taking months off. You do it every week.
Hey, all I'm telling you is, here's
the thing. You want to know the truth of it, and I will wrap it up with this. I have nothing to prove to anybody but myself, and I do this for a fun hobby. And if there's not a lot of news going on, I'm not going to go and just talk. To me, and this is truth be told, if I go out and just talk, I'm going to say something I regret. And then, you know what? It's going to be even worse. It's better off we just wait for a show. And let us have a life. You know what I mean? It's a Christmas vacation. It's like coming back to school.
You should.
We just came back.
You should see how busy this man's life is all I can tell you. That is the simple. That is the simple added thing I have to put before we leave. I don't know how you do it. Is all I can tell you.
You have to.
I applaud how you do it. That's all I
You
can
have
say.
to. Otherwise, life is boring. And here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sooner or later, I'm not going to do any of it. And I'm going to hopefully retire on Bitcoin. So like, keep that rocking and rolling. 10 years.
To the moon.
Give me 10 years, buddy. And you know what? Then you'll never hear from me again. Stevie T, then you'll really be angry.
And on that note, we'll sign off. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Look, stuff's picking up, I would have to guess. I mean, we're definitely going to have an episode when the schedule drops, so be ready for that. Has to be coming very soon. I would be shocked if we don't go into like late December and there's somehow nothing out this year. So otherwise, there's going to be more things coming. We're going to try and get more frequently back on air with you. It's getting about that time where we start kicking into more in-season-ish mode with things kind of getting closer to training camps and whatnot. You're going to see more signing get down and whatnot. So, won't be as much of a spread in between is what we're trying to say. We'll be back sooner than you think for episode 93, which again, the road to 100 is fast approaching.
Yeah. And
it is
you know
very
what's
close.
one of the things I forgot to shill on this episode, one of those episodes, the road to 100, is going to be our best of the PFN awards this year in the UFL. That Friday, Black Friday, we were just talking about it. Friday, we'll have a link. And actually, we might even have it.
Good.
Just
catch,
look below.
we
We're going to have a link. We're going to have a link below this
Yes.
video. I'm going to mark it for Thursday. Go let your voice be heard, where you can watch all the previous episodes. It's things like favorite team, favorite player, favorite moments, things like that. Let your voices be heard, because at the end of the year, we'll probably have a special episode of either the UFL podcast or ATU. Well, maybe it's better for the panel. I don't know. Where we go over all your results and give our favorites as well. And we'll go over all those details as well. You guys know the drill. Click the link down below. Fill out, let your voice be heard, and then we'll reveal the results on the last episode of the year, whether it's ATU or the UFL podcast.
Good catches as well. Follow us at UFL Podcast. Also follow us at Around the UFL. And for any of the amazing articles and, of course, especially news that James Larson keeps up with, follow his account at James Larson and at PFN Newsroom for him and many of the great content creators and writers we have that's going to be covering the in-season and lead-up to season moments we've got for PFN. The team seems to grow every year, bit by bit. It's been great. And again, 7 years of PFN coming up this year. It's an amazing accomplishment. I joined 5 years ago. So, I'm only partially into this whole thing, but yeah, check all those accounts out, guys. Stay tuned with us. Much more on the pipeline, and the UFL, it's going up. Everything's going upward. Feels really good right now to be a spring football fan. He's the ref. I'm Zach. Catch you on the next one. 93's on the way. Stay tuned.